Hi, everybody. This is Warren Herman. Today, what we're going to speak about is a very simple way of understanding how we can relate to different forms of thought and spiritual practice as faithful Catholics, and ways that honor what is authentically human in those practices and integrate those authentically human things into our practice. This is shown very clearly by this little image here of a steak dinner. This is not a very complex artistic creation, but it shows us what is very important here. See, when we have this steak dinner, everything is in harmony. There is the meat, there is the beans, and there is the potatoes with gravy. And they all go together and make a harmonious whole. And this is the goal of what I speak about in a lot of different videos that I make. And I wanted to share this image because it clearly and quickly communicates what I'm trying to say. You see, in the Vatican II document Nostra Aetate, it talks about how there are rays of truth, so to speak, in the different religions of the world. And the way I like to think about it is that there are supplemental nutrients in traditions that seem to prioritize faculties other than the sacramental, prayerful life of Catholicism. Those things won't get you to heaven, so to speak, but they will help you to hold the life of heaven inside you. They will help you build up build up yourself. They're not going to sustain you, but they will support you if you use them rightly. If you use them wrongly, they will be a problem because you'll be replacing, the real nutrients with these other nutrients. And this is what we can use this analogy for, is we could say, well, Catholicism and the life of the sacraments gives us the meat, which is the central part of our meal, the thing that we really hunger for, that's going to bring us to heaven, that most important thing. If I go outside and eat beans off of a vine, that's not going to be good for me. I mean, it might fill my stomach, but there's might be bugs and stuff on it. It might be kind of tough to chew on. It's not in harmony with the steak. That would be the same thing as going toward the religions like using Buddhist meditation. You're eating, if we just do Buddhist meditation, we're eating that bean right off the vine. We're eating it raw. But there's nothing wrong with cooking that bean, with chopping up that bean, and making sure that it is and adding it to our meal as a training of attention, which enhances the experience of eating the steak in our Catholic faith. We can use techniques, we can use redeemed versions of things like mindfulness. We cannot use them in their original context, because or else that'll be like eating this bean in the garden rather than cooking the bean. We must cook the bean. We must, chop it up and do those things so it's in harmony with the meal of the steak. The same thing happens, let's say we are doing something like we see the insights of there's a modern Stoic revival, or we see in the therapy world different things that have to do with cognitive therapy and things like those type of things. What do we do with those type of insights? What do we do with these thought questioning strategies? Well, we don't go out into the garden and eat a raw potato. We don't say, yes, I am a Stoic now. Yes, cognitive therapy is the answer, and I should stop thinking about sins because, sins are making me upset. No. We have to redeem the type of thought questioning strategies and use them within a Catholic context. We have to, get those insights of those kind of, those strategies, maybe even in the Stoic tradition. We got to update them and rework them. We have to peel the potato. We have to, peel that potato. We have to boil the potato, we have to mash the potato, and then we can make it part of the meal of Catholicism. So it becomes a supplement to our eating of the steak of Catholicism. And then we could even say, well, let's think about other things. Like, okay, the 12 steps. The 12 steps have kind of a higher power. They have a moral inventory. They've got they got prayer, meditation. They got stuff going on there. So this thing kind of tastes like meat. Okay, that's gravy. That's kind of like gravy. But is gravy the be-all, end-all? No. And if you go to this can of gravy, just from the 12-step movement itself, you just drink that out of the can. That's yucky. You need to cook that gravy. You need to cook that gravy up. And and usually, the way we do it in my house, you would add some things to that gravy. Maybe you add some of the drippings from the meat to the gravy, so you kind of add something to it. And that's what really has to happen. To have a really good gravy, you need to add, you don't have just a higher power with the 12 steps, you have Jesus as your higher power. But there's some insights you can get by making that gravy and putting it on there, and it adds something to the meal. So that's kind of the way that we can do it. So that's really a way of thinking about this. That can be very helpful to our spiritual lives, because then we get these kind of natural supports to our spiritual life that can kind of add something to our meal. They don't bring us to heaven, but they help bring out the flavors of everything. They help make it more wholesome. They give us supplemental nutrients that supplement the essential nutrients of that steak, of our Catholic faith, that sacramental tradition. And just so somebody can really apply this, I'm going to throw in here, some ideas. So for example, I mentioned, those different types of therapies and different things like that, but we could do this for the religions. We could say, okay, well, we could put the mindfulness therapies are here, with the therapies. The cognitive therapies are here. 12-step is here. We could do that, with those type of things. But we could do this with religions. We could say Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism. We could say Stoicism and Confucianism, Judaism and Islam, things like that. We could put those in those categories. We could do this with Christian denominations. We could say, Pentecostalism, Mormonism, all these different, all different types of movements that are more experiential. Pentecostalism, Mormonism, liberation theology, New Thought, all these different things like about success. Anything that's like kind of rooted in something that's more physical, more experiential. It's kind of down here with the beans. This mid-level here, these potatoes would be the Protestant type stuff, and this gravy would be the Orthodox stuff. So that's a way of looking at these things. And we have this beautiful image of this steak dinner, and we want to use this image because the whole thing is about bringing things into harmony with Catholicism. And the thing is that you can see that the steak dinner also makes these other things the best versions of themselves. Like mashed potatoes are more fun than raw potatoes. Green beans that are cooked up are more fun than eating them off the vine. Gravy that's been cooked and doctored with a little bit of stuff is better than gravy cooked cold and from the can. So the thing is, we bring out the best in each other. And that's the whole point of this, in an orderly way. Bringing out the best of each other in an orderly way is what this is all about. So you can have a really good steak dinner.